province. Speaking at a media briefing at Johannesburg today, one of the DA's senior leaders in Gauteng, Jack Bloom, says apologies are not on the table.
We're not apologising to any other party. They must consider the motion on its merits. If they feel that Premier Panyaza Lesotho, despite flagrant illegalities and incompetence and corruption, deserves their support, well then they must vote against it. And if they think he needs to be removed, well then they must vote for it. It's as simple as that.
And Elon Musk's company XAI has launched Gropipedia to compete with online encyclopedia Wikipedia, which he has accused of ideological bias. The site, dubbed version 0.1, had more than 885,000 articles by Monday evening, compared to Wikipedia's more than 7 million in English. The launch came with the promise of a newer version 1.0, which Musk says will be 10 times better than the current live site. Wikipedia's release has been marked down for the end of September, but was delayed by the US entrepreneur to purge out the propaganda. Musk has been a regular critic of Wikipedia. Now, in 2024, he accused the site of being controlled by far-left activists and called for donations to the platform to cease. A cloudy Wednesday in store for Gauteng tomorrow, with afternoon thundershowers expected. Joburg drops to an overnight low of 14 degrees, peaking at a high of 24. Pretoria 16 and 25, Vereeniging 13 and 24. Monkey Ziko Ko, Eyewitness News.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
#MSW. You may begin to feel anxious or excited.
Honest, deliberate, engaging, uncensored.
High dosage administration can cause adverse reactions.
And most importantly, independent in mind and execution.
This is a normal response. Are you ready?
Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Great show as always, Darop.
Thank you, Mr. Marawa. Good show as always.
Great show as always. Thanks.
Great show as always.
Great show as always, Rob. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the wonderful show, Robert. Thank you so much. It always gives me pleasure to speak to someone who's got such an insight.
I love the introduction.
Hey, what is show Marawa?
I don't know, maybe you are still calling Mr. Mazuputu, or maybe that does not exist.
Sure, Robbie. World Cup, here we come.
Mustn't be MP.
I'm not new. Why do I say I'm new?
I'm so happy that Kaizer Chiefs managed to progress to the group stage of the Confederation Cup for the first time in the history of this mighty club, which is very good for the club. I'm so happy for Mfundo Vilakazi. He's doing very well.
Hey, but Robin does not your Pirates losing, Liverpool losing, Barcelona losing, Lando Norris taking over, as the championship leader in Formula One, Sharks finally winning a game.
People have been calling him the crazy man from the game of Lupopo as well as Orlando Pirates.
I would like to call out on CAF to really make sure that when it comes to World Cup qualifiers and CAF Champions League preliminary stages games, they should be VAR, Rob. I believe that what we've witnessed in Orlando, it was barbaric, it was shameful, it was not civilized, and such behavior can only be rooted out by VAR, Rob.
Then Sharks, yeah, boy! Finally got a win. Maybe they had enough of everybody, all the Sharks complaining, Sharks supporters complaining. Next, cricket, ICC World Cup, Women's World Cup, Proteas Women's semi-final. Let's hope they can beat England on Wednesday.
Good evening, Rob. Good to have you, Mike.
Evening, everyone.
Mike is also here.
Is he? You've introduced him for me?
I'm informing you, he's here. I'm happy.
Robert Marawa, live on 947. Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. #MSW.
All right, you gotta love it, man. For Thando Manana, Mike Greenaway, they form part of the Room Dividers. Thando Manana is live coming through from our Cape Town studios. Looking forward to linking up with him. I'm down in Durban. Mike Greenaway is in Joburg. So hey, I don't know. This is a undivided, subdivided Room Dividers. But guess what, guys? will divide the nation, will come together because Rassi Erasmus has maybe divided opinions. It is hashtag MSW Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets.
Let's go! The moments you remember. The games you can't forget. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bets.
All right, as we dive straight into the top stories, before we introduce the guys, though, let me tell you that Room Dividers, which is on Marawa Sports Worldwide, is proudly brought to you by F&B, from grassroots to greatness, right here on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live. All right, so the latest that's coming through, though, before any waste of time, Springbok defense coach Jerry Flannery, well, he says that the team is bracing for a stern challenge when they kick off their end-of-year tour against a fired-up Japan at the Wembley Stadium in London on Saturday. Flannery also expected them to enter the match with the mindset that they can create an upset against the Box.
The Rugby Championship is very different to the end of the season tour, and particularly this one, because we've, like you said, 5 games, 5 consecutive games. You know, there's no real lag time in between. So for the coaches, when we finished the Rugby Championship, we started preparing straight away for these games. And what we're looking to see is that we can maintain a level of freshness and energy for each week and deliver. We're lucky that we have there's good competition right the way through the squad, and there's good depth, so we feel we'll probably have the ability to rotate the team to maintain that freshness, and I think it's going to be really good prep for when you come into something like a World Cup. Yeah, I think you just look back on the history. I think the Springboks have only played Japan 3 times, and 2015 was obviously a huge upset, and then when I look back to the 2019 World Cup, and you know, Japan were phenomenal at that World Cup, so I think that it's going to be really good prep for us. We have some players who need some game time, who haven't played any real rugby since the end of the Rugby Championship. So to get that game time into them, for us to challenge ourselves with Japan, and then as a lead-in then into the French test, it would be great.
All right, the Boks are going to be heading into the clash, though, slightly undercooked, with players having spent the past month dispersed across various franchise teams around the globe. Now, in contrast, Japan arrived, though, with momentum on their side after pushing the Wallabies all the way in Tokyo last weekend, narrowly losing 19-15.
Yeah, you want to develop your game, because if you look back at the team that won in 2019 and their style of play versus that, you know, Rassi, Jacques, Felix and all the coaches, they really progressed as a team and developed and evolved, and they won in 2023, and I think it's going to be the same thing going to 2027. So you want to have a strong group, but you want to be able to, you know, rugby is an attritional game and you lose players, so you want as many players up to speed with the way you're going to play, and you want to have as many strings to your bow as you can. You don't want to just be a team that can only play one way. We have a style of rugby that we see that we want to be peaking in 2027 when we get to that, and the more players that we get up to speed with that, the more players that are able to slot in and we don't lose anything, that's ideally where we want to be. When you look at Japan and you look at, they're probably not as big as some of the other teams that we're going to face, but they play so fast, and that's going to be a real challenge for us. And you know, they've got a very experienced head coach. You'll be building belief in them all week. Then coming into the French test, where the French are probably, when I look and analyse them, they've probably got more depth than most of the other teams that we're going to face in the World Rugby. And then leading down into Italy, who gave us, they gave us a real scare when they came over to South Africa earlier this year into the Irish test. Where there's always going to be a big rivalry there. Finally, with Wales, who have a new coaching group, and they'll be evolving from the start of the November series.
Dividing public opinion.
Are they empowering?
And setting the rugby agenda.
Do not forget where your history South Africa is. The enemy's desire is to try and erase it.
Welcome. You're with the Room Dividers.
All right, ready for the Room Dividers. Thando Banana as well as Mike Greenaway. We'll introduce them in just a second because, breaking news just then. The Springbok team to face Japan this Saturday has been dropped.
Not positive, Mike. Mike is not positive. It took 30 minutes.
Get inside the action and huddle. Can't just attack and attack and attack with Robert Marawa on Room Dividers.
The Room Dividers.
The Room Dividers. On Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Oh, I can tell you that Rassie Erasmus has gone bold, has gone brave, and maybe just a little ruthless. There are a couple of surprises, though. There are statements. Yes, a couple of shocking omissions as well. They're already lighting up social media. Just before we went on air, had a look quickly on Twitter what's going on. All sorts of comments that are flying through. Please share those with us. Do send your WhatsApp voice notes through. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your opinions about the team that Rassie has chosen. I suppose in this Rassie team, he's kind of sending an early message to Europe, or is he? Or is he throwing the next generation into the fire to see who kind of rises? And while the Boks kind of prepare for Japan, the rugby world is still buzzing. Now, guys, I would love to hear your views even on this, because the Jan Hendrik Wessel saga is something that I cannot believe. 9 weeks on the sidelines for allegedly grabbing a player in the genitals. But there is no clear video evidence. Was this particular ban fair? So if there's no evidence, how did this 3-man panel sit and say, yes, we're going to punish you so severely for something we can't see? But that's why you got the panel, to help me and to help the entire nation. But you give me your thoughts as well. You might think it's fair. I don't know. But I would love to hear from you. Or has the rugby world kind of crossed the line? Rassie does think so. And I guess in Rassie, sort of classic Rassie fashion, he's taken to X, calling out what he says is a campaign against South African players. Is it a campaign against South African players? So tonight, does he have a point, or is he kind of poking the bear all over again? Then the eyes on the horizon, the outbound tour. I'm excited. It does kick off. Japan is first. Then it's going to be Europe with that simmering rivalry with France looming at large. Remember the World Cup, guys? My goodness. What a clash in prospect. Can the Boks laid down an early marker for world rugby supremacy? Who are Japan's danger men? And what kind of message does Rassie also want to send with this first team sheet? So joining me to unpack it all, 2 men who never shy away from a rugby debate. I hope today they're fired up. I don't want us to be kind or friendly to each other. I want us to go full throttle here. That's the former SA Under-23 and Springbok flank, Thando Manana, who's down in Cape Town. Thando, good evening, all the way in Kapstad.
Good evening, Robbie. Good evening to Miko as well as to the listeners today.
Are you introducing him again today?
No, I think you get paid to do that.
And you get paid to do what?
To relax.
All right. While I relax, Mike Greenaway.
I'm on pension.
Let's relax together here, Mike. Good to have you, man. Mike is the author of Fireside Springbok and also Independent Media's rugby writer. Mike, good to have you.
Oh, yeah. Good evening, all.
I know you were supposed to be down with me here, down in Durban, but you decided to, to let me fly solo.
And there's some blood going down in the shark tank. I'm not sure you're aware, Rob, but that's something we can discuss. There's changes happening in the shark tank in terms of the management team and the coaching staff. I'm sure we'll get there.
I think you kind of laid a precursor last week, didn't you?
Yeah, look, I don't know where you want to get off on the whole discussion, but yeah, look, things are happening in the shark tank. Our last discussion last week, lots of listeners were really wanting to talk about the Sharks and what's going on there. And I can tell you now, and this is breaking news, it hasn't been released yet by the Sharks, but it will be shortly, that there are going to be changes. Yeah, this is all breaking news. There is going to be a change in the coaching staff. Not immediate, but John Plumtree will be, I wouldn't say departing the Sharks, but he will be finishing up as head coach at the end of this season and moving into a more kind of director role. There will also be changes in the sort of backroom staff. I'm understanding that Neil Powell, who's currently the director of rugby, will be moving kind of downwards into a age group level kind of role. The recruitment guy, I don't want to mention his name right now, but apparently is going to also be relegated. So there's shake-ups at the Sharks. That is 100%.
Who would have ever imagined? I mean, here we are. I know there were speculations that were going on in the past 24 hours saying that there could possibly, potentially be a shake-up. But here, Mike Greenaway, somebody that we trust with our lives, Thando Manana, saying that it is breaking news. It definitely is not out. I've checked all sorts of media platforms. What's your take on it?
Yeah, Rob, I think a Shark side, many people always expect year in, year out that they'll be probably in the top 5, top 4 of the URC. And it's something that hasn't happened. I think when you have commercial or you have sort of interest from outside stakeholders, they demand to see the results. They demand to see silverware. And I think that's where the Sharks are sort of lacking in terms of their ambitions. They want to do well. They've got the tools and all, but it's just a matter of how they gel. And I think that's been the problem, is that there's been sort of centers of powers that have been pulling in one angle, and that's quite evident on the field of play. No one expects a team like the Sharks not to deliver, Rob, especially if you look at the front row, where you go then to what they have with Eben, with Sia, and almost everyone, Jaden Hendricks, Grant Williams. I mean, they all lie in Durban. So you wouldn't want to see them only having won one game this year, I think, or two now recently. But I'm just making an example that, the Lions are above them on the log, and you'd expect them to do well. So I'm quite happy with the changes. Change is always good, especially in Durban. I like what Mike has just alluded to, that a guy like Powell will move to the junior setup. I think we all know him, that he done tremendous work with the Sevens team, and from the Sevens he went straight into the 15-man's game. And that's a problem, it's a big difference in terms of just running those two portfolios. And I think he'll do well with the juniors, because he's always going to the junior tournaments, and so he'll know exactly in terms of the pathway. I think he'll be responsible for the pathway, as far as I listened to Mike put it to us. And I think also what's important is the role that he speaks of, is that the recruitment has been a big issue. I think Mike has also alluded to also knowing that one of their up and coming and player that has been invited to the Springbok Cup, Hlekani, is also lost to the Sharks, under the recruitment department, and no one understands fully why did that happen, because that was a big investment from the Sharks to just all of a sudden let it go. So change is good, Rob, and I think the Sharks team also, they have a lot of players who are experienced in national team, but age is not on their side as well. So the building up and fusing and just putting together the experience and the juniors would be great. Remember, they won the under-21 competition. They played in the semi-finals of the under-19. So I think generally the Sharks, their pathway has always been good. We've seen Sanele Nohambas, the Jaden Hendricks, and everyone coming through. And it's about time that we see maybe just that change of a setup. I believe, Mike, I'm not sure, people like Joey Mungalo is also considered to just go upper on the upper echelons. But, you would know better in terms of that, and we will await the Sharks to really confirm who that coaching staff is going to be. And for me, it's very good to see that change.
Yeah, Thando, 100%. I can allude to a few things that haven't been completely disclosed, but yes, we are on a show that doesn't just divide rooms, we also break news. So my understanding is that the assistant coaches are going to remain. That's David Williams, Joey Mongalo. However, they are under pressure. I know that John Plumtree went into bat for his assistants in a series of meetings this week when everything was being decided what was going to happen in the Shark Tank, and he batted for his assistants. But yeah, what I also understand is that there is going to be some kind of advisor going to come in. I mean, John Plumtree is going to be the coach till the end of the year, end of the season. And let's just clarify that the end of the season in the URC, that goes through to like May next year. So this isn't like an immediate sort of departure for John Plumtree. The season goes through, the final.
And there's no way it's going to be fast-tracked here, Mike, because when I look at the URC, the game that they played against the Scarlets at Kings Park on Saturday, 29-19 victory, for me, that was like an indicator of something. What that something is, I don't know.
#MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Soweto Live at the same time.
#MSW. Joburg businesses, this is it. The Primedia Prime Impact Sales Event is here, 3 to 7 November.
Register now and get a free demo commercial revealed live at the event, a tailored campaign for your business, and access to exclusive annual partnerships.
Primedia is SA's leading media company with the audience reach and products to grow your brand.
Seats are nearly gone. Register today at primeimpact.co.za.
The Bucky Bonanza is in 2 years and I'm only getting my rewards in 4 years. My Bucky won't be ready.
4 years, bro?
Yeah.
I'm with My Way and I will be getting my cash back in just 2 years.
What?
My Bucky will have all the accessories. No yada yada.
Introducing My Cashback from My Way. Stay claim-free for just 2 years and get 10% of your premiums back to live your way. Go to myway.co.za and get a quote today. My Cashback is a feature on qualifying products paid after 2 claim-free years and all premiums paid. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's apply.
Dlala Madlula, coach. The games are out. Who are you betting on?
Dlala Madlamin, top player. On Sports Stake 4, I'm going with the strongest defense.
Nice one, coach. But I'm going with the goals.
What's that, Coach Amanda? Now it's up to the fans to Dala or rather Dlala what they must. Dlalu 4.
Sports Stake 4 for only R2. Pick win, lose or draw for 4 games and you could win. Play at any participating National Lottery retailer. Be enjoy a game. Panda push up play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Get ready for the burger that bites back. Introducing the Ham Burner. Double the beef, triple the trouble, stacked with heartburn, dripping with indigestion, and topped off with a fiery hit of excess acid. Luckily, there's once a day A Vogel Multiforce, packed with alkaline minerals and ISCH22 that balance excess stomach acid. Because your food shouldn't bite back. Multiforce, your once-a-day force against excess acidity.
South Africa, are you ready to switch up your life? Switch Energy Drink is giving you the chance to win one of 20 brand new Omoda C7s and your share of 20 million rand in prizes. Smartphones, cash, shopping vouchers, airtime and data all up for grabs. Buy a Switch, dial *120*440#. Follow the prompts on screen, enter the unique code under the tab of your can and you could be our next big winner. Go get your hands on a can and switch up your life. T's and C's apply.
Shop, collect, and complete your pack of 31 Rugby Collector Box cards only at Pick n Pay. Get a pack of 3 cards every time you spend 500 Rand or more and get your special edition album for 79.99 in store. Plus, get a bonus pack when you buy participating deals. Visit Pick n Pay online or in-store for more details. Pick n Pay, proud retail sponsor of the Springboks. T's and C's apply.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Robert Marawa. You know, Coach Koloko Tebechan used to say, football can kill you.
Yeah, this one is the real death.
And Babu Tebo Bayampelo used to say, football are not there for, hey. Football are not there for, hey. Pirates went on to sign 32 players, not 32 or 62. They said they want to win CAF Champions League. Then boom, they are out in the preliminary round. What can do these players now? Keep on get players from Pirates in this transfer window. In China transfer window, get 5 players, 10 players on loans. Because now, boom.
#MSW.
#MSW.
From match analysis and injury updates.
Sometimes you got to take one step back to take two steps forward.
To bold predictions.
Why are you asking prediction? Why don't you start with predictions?
Nothing is offside.
You're like a sangoma to me, pa.
How? Tell me. Nothing is off the table. With Robert Marawa on Room Dividers on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
All right, Springbok loose forward. That's Kwagga Smith saying that the world champions are relishing the challenge of a grueling 5-test end-of-year tour.
Obviously, I've been in Japan for 7 seasons now, and there's a few guys that's also been playing there for quite a while. So we know the players quite well and have a few friends on the Japanese side, obviously, also. But I think we saw last weekend what they did against Australia. I think they're definitely a quality team, and they're a team that's starting to rise. Obviously, they're also building for the World Cup in 2027. So I think Eddie is also doing well with the Japanese team. We know he's done it in the past with them. So I think definitely they're players we need to look out for, and we need to make sure we're well prepared for the game.
They sprang a major surprise in 2015. We all know that. But in 2019, those last 2 games in Kumagaya and then in the quarterfinal of Rugby World Cup, it was Springbok physical dominance that won the day ultimately. Do you think they are growing as a team in that regard in order to counter that physicality?
Yeah, I think definitely they're a quality team. I think if you look at that World Cup in 2019, they beat Ireland, they beat Scotland. I think they were a good team and they're able to do it. I think they're not going to be this physical team, but I think they've brought in a few foreign-based players that plays for Japan now, like Dylan Riley, that's outside centre, that's a really physical guy and really good player. So I think they're getting the blend right of getting a bit of physicality in, but also just staying true to the Japanese, playing fast and playing quick rugby.
All right, the reason why we're playing Kwagga Smith, obviously in conversation there with Supersport's Matthew Pierce. He plies his trade in Japan, though, in the Shizuoka Blue Revs. Says that the pack schedule is exactly the kind of test that the Boks needs as they look to close out the 2025 season on a pretty much, as he and everybody else would say, on a high.
Definitely. I think this tour is a big tour for us. It's going to be a lot of matches, but I think it's going to be a good test also because you look at Japan, they almost beat Australia last weekend. Australia beat us in the first game in the Rugby Championship. So I think from the first game to the last game, it's going to be really big battles, and like you say, it's quite different games, different teams playing against. But I think for us, we want to measure ourselves and we want to be successful because this is very similar to a World Cup where you have 5 games in a row and you want to make sure that you use the squad but also reach the success and the goals you set.
All right, as we celebrate the power of sport and also the pride of the nation, FNB proudly backs the Springboks, driving transformation in South African rugby from grassroots to greatness. From players and coaches to schools and clubs, FNB is inspiring future generations in green and gold. As a proud partner of the Springboks, FNB help changes everything.
Not positive, Mike. Mike is not positive. It took 20 minutes.
Get inside the action and huddle.
Can't just attack and attack and attack.
With Robert Marawa on Room Dividers.
The Room Dividers?
The Room Dividers. On Marawa Sports Worldwide.
All right, guys, let's dive straight into it. So we got the breaking news, about the Sharks. Unexpected, so Mike Greenaway dropped that bomb on us. But let's get down to the Springboks. They're going to be facing Japan. Team came out just after 5 o'clock, as was promised. Mike, you want to have the first shot?
Yeah, look, I think the important thing here, there seems to be a Japanese theme right through this whole game. We need to just remember how important it was for Rassie Erasmus to get his Japanese-based players released for this game. Because this game is outside the international window. We've got 8 Japanese-based players who are actually going to play in this game. And that is absolutely vital because most of them will be used in next week's game against France. Kwagga mentioned that, this is like a World Cup. And Rassie is treating it exactly like that. This is like a mini World Cup. You've got tough pool games. You've got easy pool games. So the Boks will, and I hate to use the word warm up, against Japan. Then they play France, which is like obviously a massive game. Then they've got a little bit of a dip against Italy. which will serve as kind of a warm-up before another peak against Ireland, and then they'll close against Wales. So it's almost exactly like a World Cup pool setup. But yeah, so Rassie has got 8 guys who are based in Japan who haven't played since the last. They played in the rugby championship, but they haven't played since because they don't have a competition to play in. So he's brought back the likes of Cheslin, Jesse, Damien de Allender, Curtly, he's with the Bulls now, Jasper, Franco Mostert, Lotte Jager, Achis Neyman, these Malcolm Marks, these are all guys based in Japan who are going to play against Japan and will play against France next week. So it's like a perfect warm-up for him.
All right, perfect warm-up. Manana, from your side, a warm-up, what stands out?
Rob, first and foremost for me, it's this is a strong team. I can easily say that the Boks are unmatchable now, especially if you look at the bench. The bench for me was a big thing. It's a strong bench. I think Rassie doesn't take the Japanese very lightly, so he's not gone for an average, if there's anything called average, but he's gone for a very strong bench in terms of who'll be coming on in the second half. And also one has to also take note that in terms of just how the team is loaded, like Mike has said, is that they've a lot of Japanese rugby players that applied their trade in Japan. But also if you look at the bench, you look at a guy like Mani, Andre Esterhazen, they've also played in Japan, so they would understand and know each other. But I think it's more than that. I think this is a side that also gives certain players an opportunity to stake their claim in the squad or they're out. And there I speak of Franco Mostert. I think Mossi last played against Australia in Cape Town in that 30-22 win. But I think for me, if he does not perform against Japan this coming Saturday, I think that will be it for a player of his caliber within the Boks setup. And Rassie will sort of look for someone to take over from that. I think for me, I see that as some of the players getting their last sort of opportunity to stake claim with just 2 more years to go to the World Cup in Australia. But also, Rob, if one looks at the backline I think hasn't really tweaked much. We see just a forced change in Willemse. He's had a hamstring injury whilst playing for the Stormers, but it's also said that he'll be ready against the French team, Mike. So we'll have a proper 15. Not to say Cheslin is not, because he's played 15 at the Stormers when he was still playing straight down in Cape Town. But I think for me, some of the players that have gotten the opportunities is also to make sure that they also back in full form. And it's good to see that the youngster has been given an opportunity, Zach. So he's on the bench. Yeah. He's starting as a tight head. So that's going to be interesting for me. He's coming up against seasoned Japanese front rowers, and it will be good to see how he performs. The nice thing, he's got Ox, he's got Max in that front rower, and he's got very good locks, Archies Neyman, as well as Leo Diaga. So I think that tight 5 is good enough for me. I think also it's a good, brave choice. First game up, first tour for Zach, and he gets a debut on the first game. So I'm quite happy with the nice mix. I think South African coaches have got the mix quite well in the past, Rob. But also it's always about performance. We've got to give credit where it's due, is that they've always come up with these different type of combinations, etc. I mean, if one looks at a Kobus Reinach, I don't think Kobus Reinach, himself sort of saw himself as a first choice scrum half, in the latter parts of 2025. But he finds himself as now the incumbent at 9. And we get to see again, how he performs with Sasha as a 9 and 10 combination. And I'm quite happy. And I would have loved to see Sia start from the bench. He's playing his 99th Test match, so I would have really loved him to come off the bench in this game. Maybe start a Kwacha and then have Sia just coming on and finishing up, so that he'd be ready to, to play his 100th against a French team in Paris.
I think that's no mean feat, guys. I mean, you can't just say, hey, Sia Kolisi is going to be, playing his 99th game, getting his 99th cap. when you go back, Mike, to his debut in 2013, as Tando's just reminded us that he would have loved for him to come off the bench, but that's not the case. Either way, I mean, becoming a double World Cup winning captain, I mean, what a journey it's been for him.
Yeah, look, and I think Rassie is kind of organising it as he does, so that Sia gets that 100th against Ireland, and that is the crux of this entire tour, according to Rassie. He said this earlier this year. With respect to France, obviously that's a massive game, but I expect Rassie to give Sia his 100th against Ireland, and that will be part of their massive motivation to beat a side that, under Rassie, okay, the Springboks have played Ireland 4 times under Rassie. They've lost 3 and won 1. That is a shocking return by the Springboks' current standards. And Ireland are that thorn in the Springboks' flesh. Rassie's quite right that this is arguably their biggest game with respect, again, I say, to France. But Ireland is the team that the Springboks have battled to beat. And I think that Rassie is targeting that Ireland game, Sia 100, to give that team that big fillip they need to try and beat Ireland and extract that thorn from their flesh.
Oh, okay. That's an interesting one, though. Manana, what do you say regarding that? As opposed to be versus France, Mike says versus Ireland for the 100th.
Rob, Sia will play against France. I think if one looks at our loose trio for the French are a very physical team, Rob. And they play a very physical game. In fact, they match us. If you look at us having played France in Paris, they always match us physically to a point at times. They remind me of the old Chabal, the battering lock come loose forward. That's how they treat us when we play in there. So I think his leadership is going to be very much needed. Remember, we played Jesse as a captain against an All Blacks, and that sort of didn't work. It backfired in terms of him leading us against the New Zealand. So I think they would have learned that, Mike and Rob, that we need someone like Sia. Yes, it would have been nice to play against an Irish, his 100th against an Irish, but he stands on Saturday on 99. So definitely he can't be rested for 2 consecutive weekends against the French and Italy, and then to face Ireland. I think what they will do, they'll rest him after the Ireland game, despite the results, because the Welsh, we all know, they'll put in all the players that didn't have an opportunity to play on this end of the year tour. But for me, I think if you look at the loose trio against a French team, will be Sia, will be Peter Steff, will be Visser. That for us is our starting loose trio combination. And also you look at what Eben did in the last time, 2023 in that World Cup, where we beat them 29-28. And Eben had a massive game. Fortunate not to have given a yellow card or a cynical offense to a red, but it was judged that he had hit it backwards, so that's what saved us. But he came back stronger in that game, and people like Malcolm Marx, they know what they'll be up against. So I think, Rob, for me, let him lead us against the French and let us get that victory again, and that will be back-to-back victories against a French team who will be baying for our blood in return to that quarter-final loss. Remember, they were the favorites to win that World Cup. They were the favorites, Rob, they in terms of them progressing to the finals, and that never happened. And we are the ones who stopped them in their tracks of playing in that elusive 2023 World Cup. So they'll come back. As you know, they've got great players, but I think our players would have started both the Japanese and the French, and I think they will take it game by game. I'm happy that a guy like Kwacha has sort of signaled a magnificent amount of games that lie in front of them, but I'm sure they'll take it game by game, where they'll have to also just look at the players' fatigue throughout this tour. It's quite a long tour. 5 test matches is quite a lot of time, and the big 2 games is France and Ireland. So I'm quite happy with Sia playing his 100th against France. And also remember, at one stage when We had French coming down to South Africa. He was player of the series where he ran havoc against the French team. So he's always got something against the French, and he does well when he plays against them.
Maybe just ponder a little bit, Mike, about this one, because I'll ask it to you when you come back from the break about the historical context of reaching 100. I mean, where does this put a person like Siya Kolisi amongst the greatest captains ever as far as the Springboks are concerned? Because I think there's literally one word. I'll tell you my opinion, though. But stick around, guys. After the break, we'll continue with this. But I would want Mike to give a historical context of all of this that will be playing out in front of our eyes. It is a room dividers, completely divided today. Thando Manana in Cape Town, Mike Greenaway in Johannesburg, Robert Marawa down in Durban.
Hashtag MSW live now on 947 Vuma FM, Rise FM, and Sowetan Live at the same time. Hashtag MSW.
Between deadlines, soccer games, workouts, and nappy changes, we're always on the go. And our skin works just as hard as we do. That's why families trust SBR Emollient Creams, science-backed hydration that restores what life takes out. SBR Repair and New Repair Advanced hydrate and care for eczema-prone skin. SBR Protect soothes dry skin, ideal for the whole family. And for rough patches, there's SBR Renew.
Developed with dermatologists, powered by Skin Identical Ingredients. Allergy Foundation endorsed. SBR, real skin support for real life. Available at pharmacies.
In the streets of Mzansi, two unstoppable hustlers take center stage. The Suzuki Eco, the cargo king. The Suzuki Super Carry, the efficient workhorse. These vehicles are your business in motion. And now, when you buy one, you'll get it branded on us. That's Economics 101. Get an Eco or Super Carry today to turn your ride into the ultimate moving billboard. Visit suzukiauto.co.za to book a test drive and to drive your hustle forward in style. T's and C's apply.
Dlala Madluli, coach. The games are out. Who are you betting on?
Dlala Madlamin, top player. On Sports Stake 4, I'm going with the strongest defense.
Nice one, coach. But I'm going with the goals.
What's that, Coach Amanda? Now it's up to the fans to Dala or rather Dlala what they must. Dlalu 4.
Sports Stake 4 for only R2. Pick win, lose or draw for 4 games and you could win. Play at any participating National Lottery retailer. Be in a game. Panda, push up, play. Players must be 18 years or older. Play responsibly. Ituba is the proud operator of the National Lottery.
Hello, Mzansi. I'd like to address a global crisis very few speak about. Soullessness. 9.2 out of 10 people in the world are not from South Africa, meaning only 0.8 out of 10 people know the taste of soul food and enjoy it at will. Sadly, 10 out of 10 people who live outside our borders are extremely malnourished of soul. Surprisingly, 3 out of 10 South Africans are unaware. But we can change this, 9-9. The math is not make sure, but count yourself lucky because you can help the rest of the world. How? By becoming a Soulfluencer, and you'll stand a chance to win a trip to anywhere in the world. You can also win your share of up to 20 million rand in instant prizes along the way. Visit soulfoodtotheworld.com or Chicken Licken's socials to find out how you can show your support and win. T's and C's apply. Chicken Licken. Soul food.
Let's count backward. 5. Insurance. 4. Pineapple. 3. Insurance. 2. Pineapple. 1. You're under.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
Previously on Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Robert Marawa. You know, Coach Holoko Tebechan used to say, football can kill you.
Yeah, this one is the real death.
And Babu Tebo Bayampelo used to say, football are not there for, hey, football are not there for, hey. Pirates went on to sign 32 players, not 32 or 62. They said they want to win CAF Champions League. Then boom, they are out in the preliminary round. What can we do with these players now? Keep on get players from Pirates in this transfer window. In the transfer window, get 5 players, 10 players on loans. Because now, boom.
MSW.
MSW. Not positive, Mike. Mike is not positive. It took 20 minutes.
Get inside the action and huddle.
Can't just attack and attack and attack.
With Robert Marawa on Room Dividers.
The Room Dividers?
The Room Dividers. On Marawa Sports Worldwide.
Good evening, Marawa. Good evening to MSW family. Nagwe Room Dividers. Ngusiye Gqeberha. Rob, I am happy with the starting lineup and this Bonayo that Urasi has picked for the Japan game. This game is very, very important. In fact, every game that we are going to play here is very, very important because it talks to the draw year World Cup. We cannot have a draw that we had in France. That was a group of death. We can't have that. Yes, I know we are world champions and, but at least we need to have an easy group, so that our players can pick well World Cup, in the knockout stages. I don't want us to play a game like we played against Ireland and Scotland in the group stages. No, I don't want that. So, personally, I am very, very happy. I know mhlambi bakhona abantu who thought Urasi will pick, his second team or your third team or whatever, and wait for the game here, Ireland and France to pick his strongest lineup. I'm very, very happy that Urasi has seen that and Wabeka is the strongest lineup. Engosi Rob.
Evening, Tarok. I'm quite excited about end of year tour because it's going to pose a lot of different questions than what the Southern Hemisphere teams have posed. One of the questions I suspect it'll pose is how organized are we on defense transition? I say that because I suspect that a France or an Ireland that we'll play against will really attack our breakdowns and put a lot of questions on our breakdown skills. So once they turn that ball over, what I'm interested in seeing is how quickly we can transition from attack back into defense, back into organized defense. So that will be quite vital for me in this end of year tour, especially with the kind of game that we're trying to employ, with the attack-minded game that we're trying to employ. We'll need to be solid in terms of our defensive transition. So I'm excited about especially those two games that we're going to play. As far as this weekend is concerned, interesting to see Zachary Porton there. I'm quite happy for him. And I'd definitely feel like we're going to miss Damian Willemse in these games. Definitely, especially with the impact that he has. Thanks.
Yeah, you'll always miss Damien if he's not there, but I think it's important what you've said about the defensive transitions and what the selection has brought to the fore. You're listening to The Room Dividers, brought to you by F&B right here on #MSW, Marawa Sports Worldwide. Tanda Manana down in Cape Town, Mike Greenaway, who is in Johannesburg. Mike, I was saying to you before the break, the historical context of reaching at 100.
Yeah, look, I mean, when Rassie appointed Sia as the first black African captain of the Springboks in 2018. In my opinion, that was as big as Madiba's moment in 1995 when he wore that Francois Pinault number 6 jersey. Look, Sia had a few caps behind him at the time, but now we are approaching his 100th. I mean, what he has done for nation building in South Africa is just indescribable. He is just massive. Just before the last general elections, and I say this with tongue-in-cheek, and I'm sure some of the people who said this were tongue-in-cheek, but not really, was that if Sia ran for president, he would have won by a country mile. That's how big Sia Kolisi is to South Africa. But yeah, look, I mean, he's getting to his 100th cap. And Sia said 2 weeks ago to me, he said, yeah, look, I mean, it's going to be massive for me to get there. But my biggest goal is to get to the next World Cup. I don't want my 100th cap to be a kiss of death. I want to prove myself that I can go further and lead South Africa again. And I think that's the most important thing that we can take out of Sia getting to his 100th cap. Yeah.
Do you think he will get to that World Cup?
Well, it's all up to him. Rassie has said he's got to perform. And Sia has said, I am fighting for my life. With every single cap I get for the Springboks, I'm fighting for my life to prove to the coach that I can still do it.
Manana, from your side, can he get to the World Cup?
Rob, I think let's talk on form 2025. Sia has been on form. You can't question that at all. I think that's one thing. And then two, look at his commitment for both his international franchise and the Springboks. I think he knows it, that he's got the last sort of swan song to play for, and that's Australia. And they go for the hat-trick. And no team has ever won the Rugby World Cup on a hat-trick. New Zealand was set to win it as a hat-trick of times, but were stopped on their tracks by an England side. So we do also understand that the experience that he would take with Rob would be something else. I mean, if Heineke Meyer then had brought in Fourie du Preez and the Victor Matfields for us to go to the 2015, it just shows you the role it plays when you have a type of a player with just so much experience, especially leading the team. I think Sia, since readmission, he's got more test caps as a captain than any other Springbok captain post-Unity, and that tells you of the huge responsibility that he's carried this nation through. He's got back-to-back wins. No Springbok captain has ever done that. He's basically won every cup that's been there whilst he's been playing since 2013, since his debut against Scotland. And I think for me, he's at this stage, I said the next captain, if one were to look, you'd have to look at a Sasha, you'd have to look at a Nortje at this stage. But those are players that are still wet board to sort of in the last 2 years start meddling with that captaincy. We burnt our fingers in New Zealand. It's not going to go away. We burnt our fingers. But it's also important that we have someone that will be close to Sia, just to be able to, to get much of that wisdom from the man. So I think it's more of a plan and also just staying injury free. And also, Rob, remember this player, when he injured his knee, he worked really hard like a Jean de Villiers did to go to the World Cup and win it for us, in that World Cup. So this is a guy that we need to take us through. He knows what it means and what you need to do to win those World Cup. And I think at the moment now in the box setup is that they want to win 2027 at all costs. And Sia should lead us into that.
So the greatest rugby captain in Springbok history, full stop.
Indeed. You can't be asking that question. You've got to tell us, Rob. You can't be asking who's the greatest. No, yes, that's it.
That's why I said, so understand, sir. I'm not sure at what level when you started and you wore your uniform and you went to school and you polished your shoes. I said full stop. I didn't say question.
Okay.
Yes.
No,
yes.
It wasn't clear.
No.
It wasn't clear.
No, it was. It was. There's Johnson Buds. Please buy them. They're very cheap.
No, we won't be bringing somebody in until we hear what's the end result of that appeal. We have enough cover, if we really get an injury before Saturday and, he's not also not available, then we still have Marco available. So at this stage, we're not getting somebody in. I have anything to obviously I have my opinion, but that's not important. It's hopefully, the result goes Jan Hendrik's way in the appeal, and that's the best we can hope for.
All right, Bank, let's get back to this serious business in the last 5 minutes. I mean, this Jan Hendrik Wessels suspension, that's Rassie's reaction. He doesn't want to get into it. He might have gotten into it on X and so on. But for me, it's just mind-boggling. It is crazy. A 9-week ban for allegedly foul play. There is no conclusive video evidence. I mean, did the disciplinary panel get it wrong?
Totally. I think it's absolute bull dust. I could use some choicer expletives, but I'll leave it at bull dust.
We want to be back next week, eh?
Yeah, look, guys, and honestly, I mean, it's a three-man, or I won't say three-man because there's a woman involved as well, 3-person panel from Wales have convicted Jan-Hendrik Wessels according to possible evidence. In other words, some stills have emerged that suggest that Jan-Hendrik's arm ventured towards the groin area rather of of Mr. Murphy, the kind of flanker, Josh Murphy. But I mean, and I'm going to bring in Tando here. In a rugby match, in a ruck, there is a tangled web of arms, legs, faces. Everything is going at the same time. It is possible that a hand touches someone's nether regions, but it's not. It's not intentional. It's not like you actually intending to grope someone in the genitals. And that is what they used for the conviction. And I think it's absolute bullshit.
Manana, what's your take? I mean, you're a former player. You've been in the ruck of things. Yeah. How
Rob,
possible is this? Especially because there's no video evidence here.
Rob, the law 9.27 does clearly state, and every player understands that a player must not do anything that is against the spirit of good sportsmanship. And here we're talking of a ruck situation where you have to clean or protect the ball. I think as rugby people who follow the game do understand that at ruck time it gets a bit dirtier and so forth. And I don't think from Jan-Hendrik that was intentional, because now we have a lot of TVs, TMOs, and none of them are able to really point that he was actually grabbing or twisting or squeezing between the two legs. Nothing shows of that. But here's what I'll say is that the URC as a competition in world rugby, when it comes to judicial issues, they don't work in tandem together. They can work in all the other stuff. They can do copy and paste. But when it comes to the JOs, it's totally different. And I don't understand why. Because it's the same format that is being used. If it's inconclusive evidence, then you've got to let the player go. Similarly to that is, I feel Murphy has been, that red card rescinded. He can play. If we had URC, he's eligible to play. But this player gets 9 weeks. It's either, Rob, one of many things that happen when you have a JO, is that the player does not come out across well when he describes what might have sort of happened. And remember, you've got your 3 panel members. They take everything in. He's not maybe someone who
described
talks.
it here, Manana. He said that they grabbed him between the legs and there was twisting. And he even went on to say that it lasted 3 to 5 seconds. So, gentlemen, I think...
No, I'm not talking about Murphy. I'm not talking about Murphy. I'm talking about Jan-Hendrik. Is that when he had to talk on behalf of himself, maybe he did not convince the JO the way they wanted to be convinced. Murphy did it well, rightfully so, because he wanted that red card to be rescinded, and it's done. But for us, we're suffering now because either whoever was representing Jan-Hendrik and Jan-Hendrik at the time did not really put their stories up front. But there's an appeal that is happening on today, so we'll hear and wait on that. If it does, Rob, I'm saying this, if it does get sort of, there's a percentage off, or he gets some time off, it will be 4 weeks, which means he's still out for the end of the year tour.
All right, just a quick one, though. I mean, as a former Springbok player,
yes,
if anybody had to twist there with you, and you counted from 3 to 5 seconds, surely there'll be no time to count any seconds because of the level of pain.
Yeah, Rob, I don't know whether you're a doctor now. You've become a specialist in terms of pain and what have you. Obviously, there should be pain in that area. There's always pain.
Yeah, but would you be able to count 5 seconds? All I'm asking you as a former Springbok is that if somebody had to twist there, would you even imagine how long it took?
Rob, he says the retaliation that got him a red card, that was him indicating that he was held by Jan-Hendrik, but at that stage it had to be a red card, rightfully so. On the field, the decision, Rob, the right decision against Murphy was correct. But what changed was the match commissioner who then got this complaint from Murphy, and then he took it up. Remember, citing commissioners are not part of the TMOs. They're not part of the refereeing. they doing things just to see overall if there are any complaints post the game so that they can move on to the next game. Unfortunately, it's the ref. Nothing wrong against the ref. We can't blame the ref. The ref was right to give a red card. It's a citing commissioner that then took this matter on, and there was a JO, and we got 9 weeks.
All right. So you're basically saying you don't have any pain, Mike. I know we've got to go, but
Rob, can I have the last word here? 2023 World Cup. Tom Curry accuses Bongi Mbonambi of calling him a white CUNT. World Rugby investigates. Obviously, Bongi denies everything. World Rugby investigates. They listen to all the audio from the replays. They say, we have no convincing evidence to say that Bongi said that. This is exactly the same situation. And Bongi was exonerated. Exactly the same thing. No 100% evidence that Jan Hendrik did what he did. So why did this tribunal?
All right, guys, I have got to. Otherwise, I've got to squeeze you. Yeah. Let's go, guys. Tune in again tomorrow. Marawa Sports Worldwide, proudly brought to you by Hollywood Bets. Thank you so much, Tando Manana, Mike Greenaway. We'll be back again on Tuesday with the Room Dividers. Unbelievable how time flies.
The thrill, the drama, the action. Let the game begin. Marawa Sports Worldwide on 947, Vuma FM and Rise FM. Powered by Hollywood Bet.